So in satsang, we are welcoming. Yes. We are welcoming our very self. So the welcoming is the welcomer and is the welcomed. Meaning it's a recognition of the love that we are. It's our opening ourselves to the love that is, the love that we are, the wholeness, the oneness. The non-dual nature that we refer to as I. So I welcome you as I welcome I as I. There is only one welcoming, and it is the welcoming of the one I to itself, of itself from itself. This welcoming is an expression of love, unconditional love. It is a recognition of myself as thou, and the recognition of myself as this pure, transparent presence. This recognition is available to you as you are that. You are the transparency of being. You are that effortless presence. You are that radiant mystery, the shining light of God that shines onto everything as everything out of itself effortlessly. It's an expression of love and of creativity. In its infinite expressions, God is always pointing to itself, to thyself, to the one self. There is no external realm. There are no external gods. You are the knower and the knowingness of all that is known. And everything you know it in your complete intimacy. You know it as your very self, like your night dreams are known in your own intimacy. Like heat is intimate with fire. At the depth of our being, we are one. In fact, our being has no depth. Our being is infinite. But I say at the depth of our being, as opposed to the mind impressions. At the level of the mind, we overlook our intimacy, we overlook our wholeness, we overlook our oneness. And yet, deep down, at the core of our being, I know I am the transparency, the borderless presence. So I invite you to relax into being this very moment. Relax your belly, your chest, your shoulder, your neck, your face, your eyes. Allow whatever is unfolding to float in the space of presence, in the borderless, aware presence, out of which and in which they arise. You do not need to fix anything, to pursue anything, or to remember anything. Let it be as it is, transparent in its nature. Rest as presence, a presence that is the presence that I am, this aware, effortless presence. Allow whatever sensations are arising in your body to be without thinking about them, without knowing them. Remain as the not knowingness, which is this infinite presence that is free of the need to know, that is free of the need to understand, that is free of the need to hold on, that is freedom itself. You are this freedom. Nobody can give it to you or take it away from you. It is God's grace. It is God's gift from itself to itself. And we say yes to that. We say yes to that. You are not defined by the thoughts that appear to you. Notice that the thought is like a cloud. It may look like an elephant, but when you come to it, you go right through it. There is no elephant there. You are not defined by any sensation that appears to you, no matter what shape or form it takes. When you go to the sensation, you don't find anything that is independent of consciousness. Recognize that you are not defined by anything that appears. You are not defined by the body. You're not defined by thoughts. You're not defined by the world that appear to you like your night dreams appear to you. They do not define you. You are beyond definition. Definition is a reduction of what you truly are. It doesn't even touch the vastness of being that I am. This recognition, no one can do it for you. As friends, we can sort of poke each other or remind each other or point to each other, share with each other, speak of that that is beyond words, point to that that is beyond any pointing. And we get it because we are it. So recognize yourself as the undefinable, aware presence that is not defined by the mind, that is not defined by the world. It is its own self-definition. Inherent within consciousness is self-knowingness. So the journey, the path, is the path towards self-knowingness, the path towards truth, the path towards consciousness. And it's the path that is taken by no one without any step. And yet, that is the path, the pathless path of being. This phenomenal realm is not about fixing your mind or fixing your body or fixing the world. It's not about fixing your dreams. This phenomenal world is your dream. God's dream. Meant to recognize yourself as that. I know I am. And there's only one I. There are infinite thoughts, infinite images, but there is one knowingness. So I welcome you to Satsang, and I welcome your questions, any comments And I have a few questions that were shared with me that I will also go through them during this meeting. Hello, Ananda.
Hello.
So you write, so-called suffering, like everything else, cannot be other than consciousness.
That sounds...
Well, let me just stop with that. Let me start with that. Yes?
That's probably the essence of the issue, yeah.
Okay. So, suffering. Now imagine that in your night dream, you are a 10-year-old boy and you are playing in the yard with a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
You go out to play with them, but they don't play with you. They ignore you. They isolate you, and you're very unhappy. You are suffering.
Right.
Now, in your question, or in your first sentence, you say...
Well, I said so-called because I'm questioning that very fact that, you know what I mean, that there really is a real something that's in consciousness, or that is consciousness.
So so-called suffering is that a young boy in the yard in your night dream, that
Right.
the other kids, they don't want to play with him. They are being, nasty with him.
Mm.
And he's suffering. So the question is, what is the suffering? I mean, what is suffering? What are we talking about? Because it's my dream. Now, it's an unhappy dream because I feel like I'm this little boy that is being rejected.
Mm-hmm.
It is an unhappy dream. Now, what is, you say, is it consciousness, not consciousness? Consciousness is complete freedom. Consciousness is knowing thyself as the causeless peace and happiness, the bliss of the self. Consciousness is Sat-Chit-Ananda. Consciousness is none else than that. It's not other than the love, the beauty, the freedom, the truth, the intelligence, the wisdom, the compassion of the self. Now, when you are feeling, believing and feeling that you are this boy, that you are a particular person, a boy in the yard,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to have some friends and some enemies. I mean, anybody who grew up, we all were little kids, and we know it's inevitable that at some time we have great friends, and another time, or maybe at the same time, we also have people who don't like us too much.
Mm-hmm.
They mock of us or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fate of being a person.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, am I a person? Because if I was a person then, when I was a little boy, then I am a person now. It would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I a person right now? So I look at that. I look at that without prejudice. Say, okay, maybe I am a person. So I look for the person. But I don't find it. I find thoughts, ideas, and images, right? I find perceptions, sensations, meditations, right? I don't find a person. So suffering is your illusion as a separate person. It's the separate person is suffering. Is suffering. Suffering equal separation. Suffering equals a personhood. The roller coaster of the human identity. That's what we refer to as suffering. I'm happy today because, she loves me, and then I'm unhappy tomorrow because he hates me. He doesn't like me. I don't know. Something like that. Right? Should I continue with your question? Yes?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Some people, as you're writing, Ananda, that some people get agitated when it is suggested that realization is freedom from suffering. They get agitated that realization is freedom from suffering. Well, if you are not holding on to any belief, why would you get agitated? If somebody comes to me and tells me, realization is freedom from suffering, I'm not holding on to any belief. I say, oh, wow, that's interesting. I would be interested. I would be curious, or maybe I would not be interested because I'm more interested in winning the lottery or whatever. But why would I get irritated? You said agitated. Why would I get agitated?
It seems like the agitation is from people trying to thinking that wholeness includes the whole, even the person and the personal struggles and everything. How could I be whole if I exclude that?
Yes.
Like that's where.
So I would say that if your experience is that of there is suffering or occasional suffering, you're suffering a little bit and then
or it has some reality. Well, anyway.
Yeah, that suffering is your experience suffering. It feels like real to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you decide to come to the conclusion, hey, awakening includes the suffering.
Because obviously I have right.
If you decide to hold the conclusion that awakening realization includes the suffering. The suffering is part of the human condition, blah blah blah. And awakened and suffering, they go hand in hand. It's all God's creation. Suffering is God's creation. Then I would say that this is where you have parked. That's a rest area that you have parked at, and you will remain in that condition of suffering and sort of accepting it as, polishing it as is part of enlightenment, but you will remain in the suffering. You will remain in the suffering. You can call it enlightenment if you want. It doesn't matter what you call it, because this is not about words. The teaching is a silent revelation. It's a silent transformation. It's not about the words. I can speak very beautiful words and be the most ignorant or suffering person, but I know how to speak those very beautiful words. And that's not really what this is about. You know within yourself what happiness is. And if you decide to accept for yourself, you can even try to market it if you want to, who cares? But that would be even worse. But if you accept for yourself that suffering is part of my awakened state, then I would say that the wheel of samsara will keep spinning for you. Will keep spinning for you. I would suggest that you remain open. You relax your belief around that. You remain open to the possibility that the stage where you're at is not your final destination. That your final destination is not doesn't have a roller coaster ride in it.
Mm-hmm.
Does not. The body is conditioned to have thirst, hunger, tiredness, resting, waking up, old age, and death of the body. But the contemplation and the revelation is of the truth, the self, what is real, what am I truly?
Right.
And you may come to an understanding that I am consciousness, and you may mistake that to be the realization. That is just an interim understanding. It's an important understanding that I am consciousness and not a body-mind that appears to me. That is an important understanding. But you still have the entire vasanic structure, the entire residues of ignorance that are triggering you and that are creating suffering. The understanding that I am consciousness is the beginning of the path. It is not. There is the path. There is first entry onto the path in your understanding that I am consciousness. And then there is the path of contemplation of what is this consciousness? How does this consciousness live, feel, be, exist, and living as that? Living as that. So there is a journey that takes you to the Sahaja Samadhi.
So a related issue is the neti approach, not this, not this. Everything that arises, I'm not this because I'm consciousness. It seems to be, it seems like that is something that drops away at some point. Because otherwise there's a distinction being made that's
well, neti delivers to you the understanding that I am nothing that is of the form.
Yes.
And in many cases, some students, when they come to the understanding I am nothing that is of the form, they stop there. They say, oh, I am no one, everything, nothing, and there is nothing. There's just now.
Oh, so it's almost nihilistic, or
they have not arrived to the. They have not arrived to what am I truly. They have arrived to what I am not. What am I? What I am not. But it is important at that stage to have a guide and to be open to the guidance that will take you to what I truly am.
Because the observation, I'm not this, would go on basically forever until you are established in consciousness, until you're established in what you are.
No. The I am not that can stop. In other words, neti can end before you realize the self. You can arrive to the conclusion that I am nothing. But that does not mean that the end of neti delivers for you the revelation of what I truly am. Did you?
Yeah, I think I follow you. So my follow-up question is, so if all form and name becomes transparent, I don't know how else to put it, then there's no point, there's no need to say neti.
No, of course. Once you realize that you are nothing that appears, in other words, you're not any mentation, you're not any perception, you're not any sensation, that's all there is. So the neti stops. I'm not the tree, I'm not the bird, I'm not the thought, I'm not the feeling in my leg. So at some point you get it that, okay, I am none of that.
Okay, so now like in a dream, you would say, at this kind of point where we're talking about, you no longer need to say, I'm not the dream character. I'm not in danger from this flying elephant, even though.
Well, no, the sense of danger remains. You have understood that Okay, so you are the 12-year-old boy in your dream, right? Let's say, let's go back to that metaphor. You're a 12-year-old boy in your dream, and you're playing in the yard, and there is the teacher, and there are other students, and other friends.
Mhm.
So you realize, you start contemplating neti as that 15-year-old boy, or 20-year-old boy, or 30-year-old man, whatever, or
Yeah.
40-year-old woman, whatever. You start contemplating, oh, I am not the teacher. Oh, I am not the tree. Oh, I am not those other students in the class. Oh, I am not the chair. And you come to realize that you are none of these things, none of these objects that you're perceiving in your dream. But you still have not realized that what you truly are. You still believe, there is still within you the belief that you are that 15-year-old or 40-year-old boy or man.
Mm-hmm.
As a metaphor, okay? So
Okay.
the neti can deliver to you the understanding that I am not any form, I am not any sensations, any meditations, any perception. But it does not reveal to you what you truly are. There is a different aspect of the contemplation that leads you to the revelation of what you truly are.
I see what you're saying, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're clearing, neti is clearing the way, in a way, making some space, some space for understanding to take lodging, maybe.
Yeah, it's part of the teaching. When you come to your teacher, very quickly, you understand that you are not any thought, perceptions, and meditation. But it will be it will take a little more. There is a little bit more to it to come to the transparency of being.
Let's see. There's a little more in my question.
Oh, okay. Yes, let me go back to it. Okay, so you continue, Ananda. Is this freedom a matter of thoughts, perceptions, and even feelings being utterly transparent? No. The freedom, it depends what you mean by this freedom. Freedom from suffering.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The complete freedom of suffering would be the Sahaja Samadhi, would be the establishment as the self. Otherwise, suffering will continue. So no, the establishment as the self is not just a matter of perceiving thoughts, perceptions, and feelings as empty or transparent.
Right.
No.
And that's then you answered my last sentence was, is there a simpler way to get this? Is there a simpler way? And that's the sahaja that you're talking about.
Simpler. All of neti and the contemplation of emptiness,
yeah,
are understandings along the path.
Right.
So the Sahaja Samadhi is what precedes Sahaja Samadhi is multiple understandings.
Right.
Many understandings. Among them, the understanding of neti and the understanding of emptiness. These are part of your journey. You should not be mistaken the neti as an important endpoint, or the understanding of emptiness as an important endpoint. There is only one endpoint.
So now it's coming back to me what I was trying to tie together with the neti and the idea of suffering, the issue of suffering or of complete freedom from states, basically. Somehow you go beyond neti, but the other argument is that you go if you go beyond or really if you still leave suffering intact, a person hasn't really come to the end of neti because they're still buying the setup, buying the situation.
Yeah. The neti understanding does not end suffering. You can come to the end of your contemplation of neti, meaning I am not the world, body, mind, but you will not come to the end of the suffering via
In
that.
particular, I'm not my own subjective, thought of as subjective feeling states or anything.
These are all important understandings. I
Yeah.
understand your question, and I'm answering it.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it again. The understanding of neti, I am nothing phenomenal, and the understanding of emptiness, meaning all phenomena are empty, are transparent, does not reveal to you what you truly are, and does not end suffering, and does not establish you as the happiness. That's the samadhi. What does? Is that your question? What does?
Yeah, what's the simple? What's the simple?
Grace does. Love of truth. Your passion for truth. And not your passion or your love or your interest for a certain arriving, a certain personal attainment, a certain personal understanding, abandonment, your complete surrender, your free fall into God's arms.
That's what I was getting at, because that's what makes for the real wholeness that doesn't leave anything out, push anything away. I mean, it doesn't push anything away. It doesn't need to, right?
There's nothing to push away.
Mm.
Die into God's grace.
Mm.
You have to be willing to completely die.
Mm. Mm.
You cannot hold on to anything. There's a subtle holding on, subtle hope, a subtle wishing, a subtle looking ahead at some goal, at some future, at some destination. You are transparency of being. There is no tomorrow, there is no yesterday, there is no separate self. There isn't a me and a you. There's just the shining light of being. I am that. And that I is borderless knowingness, presence, beingness. Aware presence, Sat-Chit-Ananda. You're not going anywhere. You're not coming from anywhere. There is no go, nowhere to come from, and there is no need to go and to come. That entire coming and going around is the mind realm. You are beyond these limitations. You are beyond these impressions. You're not defined by the thoughts and the conditioning and the download that you have inherited and that you have become accustomed to. I know what you love, Ananda. Be sincere and true to what you love. Don't deviate into personhood. Is just an impression. Mind creation. It's mind.
Beautiful. That's very touching. I know you say, I know what you love. Yeah. That's very intimate. The most integral thing, the most.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nanda. Hello, Randa. Randa, you're right. It seems to me that suffering boils down to I, body, mind. I'm not getting what I want. Yes. Yes, you're right. Yes, Ananda. I'm not getting what I want. And I wish it was different. But before not getting what you want, there is already uh, a- the original sin, like they say in the Christian scriptures. The original sin, or the root of ignorance. The root of ignorance, before I'm not getting what I want, is I am this woman or this man. And then, as a woman or as a man, oh, I'm not getting what I want, oh, I'm not getting the job what I want, I'm not getting the partner what I want that I want, I'm not getting the attention that I want, blah, 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 blah. So you have to go to the root, the, the, the root of the bamboo. When you are uprooting the bamboo, you have to take the root, the entire root out, because it grows again. If you leave it, if you leave a piece of it, it will sprout again. You come back a year later, you have, my goodness, there bamboo shoots are sprouting everywhere. So the root of this me is this belief and this feeling that I am uh, a man or a woman. Monica, I saw your question. I'll come to it in just a minute, okay? So ask yourself, this is what you need to contemplate, is, am I a form that exists in time and space? Or am I the awareness that perceives thoughts, sensations, perceptions, but I am not perceived? I remain the formless knowingness. What am I truly? But yes, you are right in your comment on that. That then once already there is the belief and the feeling that I am a person, then what pursues that is the emotions, the negative emotions. So you have two things happening. You have the me feeling, which is this malaise, this sort of nagging unhappiness. Is something is like really nagging in our life. We don't know what it is. We've got the money, we got the relationship, we've got the job, we're traveling, we've got good food, and it's just still not hitting the spot. That's the me feeling. And then there is the negative emotions. Negative emotions, I don't know, I come home and my partner is not there, told me they will be there, and I get really upset, or I see my partner talking with somebody else, I get jealous. What, the emotions is the me feeling that get um, inflamed, that get erupted. An eruption is an eruption of the me feeling. So the emotions that we experience is this me feeling that every now and then goes, like the magma, and every now and then there is a volcanic eruption. But it happens quite often. Volcanic eruptions don't happen as often as the negative emotions. In our life, the negative emotions, sometimes we experience them every day, or every week, whatever. I'm not speaking about you, I'm speaking in general. So the belief that I'm a person is this me feeling we got used to, and then it gets aggravated given a certain situation and certain circumstances. So we need to go to the me feeling to contemplate: am I this belief that I'm a personal consciousness? What is the reality of that? What is the proof of that? What is the validation of that? Uh, Randa, you say this me feeling is the mistaken identity of believing that I am an experiencing enjoying entity. Instead of the. So let me read again. Randa, you say this me feeling is the mistaken identity. Yes, of believing that I am an experiencing enjoying entity, a woman or a man, instead of the knowingness. The knowingness. The knowingness is awareness. Yeah, knowingness is awareness. I am the awareness, the aware presence, the I am. Knowingness. I am is presence, beingness, and knowingness. It's not a knower, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, yes. The knower is the very knowingness. It's a knowing space. It's not a personal knower. Okay, Randa, thank you for your question, Randa. Monica, hello, Monica. So, Monica, you're right. My fiance died on January 2nd. I am distraught. How can I frame this so I am not suffering so much? Monica, there are no mistakes. Whatever is unfolding in your life is meant for you, including events that take away from you the object of your love and the sharing, the object with whom you are sharing your love. But whatever unfolds for you will never, never, ever take away the love. Let your fiance go. The love cannot, will not go. Letting go, when we are called to let go, is an expression of love. Holding on when we are being called to let go, that's unhappiness. So to address your question about your suffering, which is the same question that about all suffering. Is to understand and respect and honor God's wishes and recognize that God is love. Never ever will God not love you, honor you as the love that you are, not as the energetic holding, not as the energetic contracting, not as the resisting energetics. We are this one ocean of bliss and grace, and God is infinite bounty. Takes away when it's time to be taken away, gives infinitely in ways that the mind cannot understand. Honor the universal wishes. Do not stand in the way. All is well, all is good. Your mind may project some fearful thoughts, like images on the screen. It's important for you to understand that there are images on the screen, and you are not a bundle of images or thoughts or sensations. You are the light of being. You are love itself. There is no such thing as a personal consciousness. Body minds are constantly being born and dying. Consciousness does not. Your fiancé is consciousness itself, does not die. It's consciousness appearing as your fiancé, as appearing as images, sensations, perceptions. There was an intimacy that you enjoyed. That intimacy that you enjoyed, you're enjoying it now. You are, this very moment, experiencing an intimacy of being with just in this conversation right now. And there is an intimacy of yourself as yourself that cannot be, nothing can take that away from you. Love never dies. Body minds, they come and go, and there are no accidents. Whatever happens in your life is meant for you. relax into being. And as memories and thoughts and emotions arise, allow them to be. Experience them. Let them be. Don't hold on to them. Don't try to fix them. Don't feed them. Don't add a me story to them. Just sit still and allow them to just arise like clouds, like the weather. Nothing is happening to you. Uh, uh, Bill, I wanted to go over your question a little more. I know that I sent you a reply on Facebook, but I wanted to go over it just briefly. So, well, I had written a post that very quickly reading through it. I hope it won't be too long. I'll try to just cover the main points. I wrote, when you look at for a thought, for a feeling, for a perception, where is it? Where do you go? They are nowhere to be found. There is nowhere to go. We only find silence, stillness, presence. While images constantly change, the constant does not change. Consciousness is changeless, borderless awareness. When we look for the changing images, we only find consciousness. Images are like the mind dreams of the night dreamer. So in Bill, then your question, I'm going to read your question. You write, this doesn't seem to be my experience. When I say I have a headache, I can point to my head. It hurts here, doc. What am I missing? It's important to know where it hurts. You're not going to go to the doctor and tell the doctor, if you're suffering from a headache, you're not going to point to your foot and tell the doctor, it hurts over there, pointing at your foot while you have a headache. So of course he will point at your head. But that is not what this post was about. There is intelligence in the body to send signals. So when there is you eat a food that is unhealthy, the body, the way it's wired, will express a certain sensation for you to attend to that particular situation, which would be towards your stomach. You may have to take some, I don't know, Pepto-Bismol or whatever, I don't know. Now, when you go to your headache, where do you go? There is a sensation and it's here, okay? So it's here. But in fact, you are not going anywhere. You're pointing here, meaning making this gesture. But the sensation of what we refer to as the headache is completely intimate with you. And your head, you can experience your head as an image, or you can perceive your head as a perception or as a sensation. But irrespective of whether you're experiencing your head as a perception, as a sensation, or as an image, they are intimate. The image, the perception, the sensation are intimate with you. You're not experiencing something out there. So, in fact, your head is intimate with you. And so is the headache. The headache is intimate with you. What is this you? What is this I that I'm referring to? It is I as consciousness. So the head, my head, is a concept. And there's no problem with the concept. I'm just stating that it's a concept. Outside of the concept head, there is no head. In order to perceive a head, there has to be a conceptual realm that says, oh, that's the head. So there is a concept head. This concept is mind, meaning it's thought. And when you look for where thought is, where do you go? You don't go anywhere. Because the thought is not apart from you, you as consciousness. So the pointer that I was sharing in the post is that there is no separation. There is no separate head. There is no separate knower of the headache. There is no separate person, no separate person in the head. That the entire conceptual realm and sensory realm are intimate with consciousness. Because the distance between consciousness, meaning the knowingness, the awareness, and the head or the headache is zero distance. The headache is not apart from you. Your head is not apart from you. They're at zero distance from you. So you are always experiencing yourself. The self is always self-knowing. And you can experience a headache that is a mind impression, a body-mind impression. And of course, will, as a good manager of the body-mind, will seek the medical attention or the remedy that is needed to take care of that. The consciousness and the sensation being one, consciousness and thought being one, there isn't any separate object. And when you look at consciousness, you find that consciousness is formless, borderless. It has no shape, no age, no gender, no beginning, no ending. No owner. You cannot cut it, you cannot burn it, you cannot tear it. So given that consciousness is the formless self, then everything else, what we refer to as the world, body, mind, is the formless self. But consciousness does not rely on the world, body, mind. Consciousness doesn't give a hoot about the headache. It can be knowing of the headache and acting to relieve the headache or not, but it remains as itself in the absence of a headache, in the absence of a body, in the absence of the mind. Consciousness is self-knowing and absolute, meaning there is no other reality outside of consciousness that can know it or interact with it. It is the absolute knowingness, beingness. There is no other knowingness and beingness outside of the knowingness and beingness of the self. If there was another knowingness than the knowingness of the self, what would know that? There has to be a knowingness larger that would know that there are two knowingness. And that larger knowingness that knows these two knowingness is the knowingness that I'm talking about, the one knowingness, what we refer to as I. What knowingness is there outside of I? Knowingness and I are one. But the point of the post is to make it clear that you're never experiencing any actual reality outside of consciousness. That everything that you experience is consciousness. And consciousness does not depend on any experience or on anything being experienced. Rhonda, you had sent me an email, and let me go over that very quickly. You say, hello Magdi, I had a clear understanding that I would like to check with you. You can answer me on the Google Hangout, blah, blah. Okay, so there you go. I awareness on primary, that's Rhonda speaking. I awareness on primary. I exist before any objects, thoughts, or perceptions. Yes, yes. I awareness validate objects. Because of me, objects seem to appear. Yes. If there was no awareness, there would be no objects, no existence. Correct. I know that I am. Yes. This knowledge that I exist is direct. I know that I exist. Yes. No one has to tell me that I exist. The problem seems to arise because I superimpose onto awareness a name, a form, a gender, a story. When I do that, I mistake my nature, awareness, with the body-mind. And I add the limits of the instrument on awareness that is limitless. Yes. This I is all allowing, encompassing. There is no separation. Its nature is oneness and love. Yes, so it's yes, 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 yes. Thank you for having my journey. Oh, yes, Rhonda, very good, very good. I'm glad. Oh my goodness. Okay, Shivaram, you're right. By the way, say hello to Shivaram, who is visiting here. Very lovely to be with you and to enjoy your company. So Shivaram, you wrote me, Dear Magdi, would you please remind us what you shared in satsang yesterday about? Yesterday was Saturday. We have a live satsang here, and Shivaram was assisting. Was present. About I am being, and I know that I know are absolutes, not two absolutes. Yes. Yes. So the the Sat-Chit-Ananda refers to I am, which is the Sat aspect of the Sat-Chit-Ananda. So I am the Sat. Presence, knowingness would be the Chit aspect of the I am. And Ananda is the bliss of that understanding. So the I am is an absolute I know beyond any doubt that I am. If you ask yourself, anytime you ask yourself, am I? You will come to the conclusion, yes, I am. You will never have any doubt about the I am. That is an absolute. Absolute has no opposite. There isn't any other option. There is no possibility of I am and I am not. Because you think about it. If I am not, what would know that? What is it that would say I am not? Something has to be able to say I am not. So the I am knows I am and never knows I am not, because there is no such thing as I am not. There's just I am. So I am is an absolute. Awareness, knowingness, I use the term awareness and knowingness interchangeably. So awareness refers to knowing. This I am is not just a presence, it's also a knowing presence. First, just to backtrack a little bit, the I am does not refer to any person. When we say I am, or when I ask am I am not asking a person. I am actually asking the I. The I is asking the I, are you? And the I says, yeah. Yeah. So the I am is a question that is answered within itself. It's before even the question arises, it's answered, because it arises in that answers it. It is made out, the question is made out of the answer. I knows I and knows I am within itself. It doesn't refer to a person. It doesn't go knock on the door of the person, says, hello, are you home? It's not that way. The I is self-knowing. It knows I am. So it is not just made of I as presence, but there is also knowingness. I know perceptions, sensations, and thoughts. Yes, we all know that I perceive the tree. So I know the tree. And I also know that I know that I perceive. So I know that I perceive and I know that I know, which are two slightly different knowingness. One knowingness has a form, has an object, such as a thought or a perception. And knowing that I know has no object. It's a knowing that knows itself. So knowingness is made out of both. It is in the presence of objects, meaning it knows forms, but it's also self-knowing. It does not need the form, it does not need the tree to know itself. You know that you know, irrespective of whether you're perceiving the tree or you're perceiving a thought or you're perceiving a sensation. So knowingness has a self-sufficiency within itself. It has a complete independence of the world body-mind. But the world body-mind cannot be known without consciousness. What would be a tree without being perceived or being touched or being sensed or being hugged? The tree, the world body-mind, thought or sensation, requires your knowingness. So knowingness, whether it is knowing objects or not knowing objects, meaning self-knowing, is also has no opposite. Because if knowingness did not know itself, what would know that knowingness does not know itself? See, that would be an oxymoron. Knowingness is. It knows itself as knowingness. I know that I know. That is also absolute. Meaning there is no exceptions to that rule. It is. Now, we have already talked a minute ago that presence, the I am, is an absolute. And knowingness, awareness, is also an absolute. We know that the light of being, the infinite invisible, can manifest as love, as beauty, as freedom, as wisdom, as truth. The manifestations of the self are infinite. And all the manifestations of the self refer to the self. The qualities of the self, which are formless, love, beauty, intelligence, are noumenal qualities that refer to the infinite invisible. The absolute I am and the absolute awareness are one absolute. Although there are many expressions, the expressions of the Sat-Chit-Ananda are many. Like, for example, the orange. An orange has many expressions. It's one orange, it's orange. But it has orange color, it has a beautiful smell, it has a delicious taste when it's ripe, it has a lovely sight, but it's still orange. Although there are many qualities to Sat-Chit-Ananda, which are the qualities of love, compassion, freedom, wisdom, intelligence. There is only one reality, one understanding, which is the I am. Awareness are not two. That the awareness and the I am are one. And the I am is formless, which is quite different from I am the body. Similarly, awareness is formless because it does not need to be aware of a tree or does not need to be aware of any object. It is formless in its very substance. It is made out of awareness, which is invisible, has no beginning, no end, no shape, no size. So the Sat-Chit-Ananda refers to what we truly are, which is the transparent, knowing presence, the aware, transparent, borderless, impersonal presence. All the qualities of the self refer to the self. There are no intelligent people. There is intelligence. There are no free people, free souls. There is freedom. There are no wise sages. There is wisdom. There are no beautiful landscapes. There is beauty. There are no loving people, more loving people, less loving people. There is love. And these qualities of love, beauty, freedom, happiness, they're never lost or gained. They're never diminished or augmented. They're never taken away from us or given to us. They are the I am aware presence. They are the self. Which is one self, one truth, one reality, one beingness. And there is no personal aspect to that. The personal is some sort of imaginary division, which is a choice of sort of accepting the thought that says, I am born, I am a male, I am female, I am 30 years old. The impression of being a person is just due to the repetition of certain impressions, the repetition of certain perceptions, the repetition of certain thoughts. But in fact, there is no repetition. There is a trace of the thought, like a little echo. The echo of the thought is this, leads us to this impression that there is something objective. There is some form, some real form out there. And that form out there is what's appearing. So it's a superimposition. We superimpose, we create a form, we extrapolate a form out of mind impressions, thinking that there is an external source to these mind impressions, which is out there. But in fact, there is just this mind impression before we extrapolate the form, there is no form. But we've been so habituated to extrapolate a form that is so quick. We very quickly go from the mind impression to the form. It's like, yes, there is a form. Yes, I see the chair. Yes, I see the tree. So the conceptual realm has crystallized itself as an objective reality. But when you look at the mind impression, which is leading to this external reality, when you look at this mind impression, you don't find it because it's gone. The thought is gone already. Now it's a new thought. Because consciousness never repeats itself. It's ever fresh. It's ever creating. Okay. Are there any questions? There's been very little chance for you to ask questions, but if there are any questions, I'm available. Hello, Zoe. Let me see if I can get your question, Zoe. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to copy your question, Zoe. Oh, well, I'm unable to copy your question for some reason. Let me try again, one more time. Okay, well, I will read your question and then I'll come back to it. So, Zoe, you write, see, expand that a little bit here. I was able to copy it well. Okay. So, Zoe, you write a question about the last part of your conversation with Ananda, when you answered that our passion for truth is what takes us all the way to Sahaja Samadhi, complete surrender, free fall into God's arms. How does that look in our everyday experience? Would that be no resistance to whatever appears, like when storms or feelings arise, stopping and turning towards the storm and experiencing it and inviting the sensation into the awareness of the self, welcoming all that appears as a gift exactly for me? Yeah, I think that's so the way you live your passion for truth is to live, perceive, think, act as consciousness, not as a person. Because the person is a whole set of conditions, a set of opinions, a set of beliefs. So you live, you think, you perceive, you act as consciousness. Consciousness is not in any business. It's not trying to improve itself. It's not trying to save the world. It's not trying to save itself. It's not trying to fix anything. Consciousness is intelligence, love, freedom, beauty, happiness, joy, bliss, humor, compassion, empathy. Effortless. It's not efforting to get somewhere. So in your life, there are infinite situations that arise for you. Your life is in a constant invitation to live as consciousness. So yes, when phenomena arise, like with wide open sky, the wide open sky, when there is a rain weather, if it's rainy, if it's stormy, if it's cloudy, it does not matter. It's completely open and free from any personal opinions, prejudices, and beliefs. Now, you may enjoy to do certain activities, invite some friends over for dinner. So that's celebratory. Consciousness loves to celebrate because celebration is happy. It loves to commune, to share. Because in this sharing, we are celebrating our wholeness, our oneness. Consciousness loves to let go of the unpleasant things. It doesn't hold on to unpleasant things. It doesn't even hold on to pleasant things because holding on is unpleasant. So it doesn't hold on. Things come to you, welcome. Things go, welcome. It's all welcome. Consciousness doesn't have a preference. Oh, I like him and I don't like her. It's all loving. At the same time, consciousness is intelligence. There is a certain unhappy elements that come in your space. They come, you open the exit doors, you're welcome to leave. You don't hold anything back, any grudge. This does not mean that you don't say no. Consciousness can say no to whatever it wants to say no to. And it always says no to things that are unhappy. It does not walk into the mud. It doesn't operate that way because it is happiness. Walking into the mud, except when you're a little boy or girl, you want to play in the mud, is different. I'm just using it as a metaphor. So it's the path of love, the path of beauty, the path of happiness, and you know it within yourself. This does not mean you become a flower girl or flower boy. How did it go in the 70s? We used to be the flower people, or in the 80s. No, this does not mean that, because that's also an image. It's restraining. It's constraining. No, sometimes you may just close the door in somebody's face who's really not loving, not kind, not understanding. So there are like really no set rules about how exactly to behave. But as a general direction, you live with everything and everyone as your very self. Because we've lived long enough with I am me and all these other things are out there. So now we turn the page and we live with opening ourselves to the possibility that everyone and everything is my very self. It's not about your personhood. Definitely not about your personhood, because anything that's about your personhood will maintain the sense of separation. In fact, there is no personhood. It's just some imaginary download. So it's important on the personhood level to relax your body-mind, because there are going to be sensation within the body that say, oh, it's happening to you, it's happening to you. You will feel that something is happening to you. You invite these feelings into the space. You say, God's arms. God, it's good. God is almighty. You're welcome to be what you are. Your body, you expand your body. You don't maintain this fixed body with fixed demarcation borders. You allow your body to expand behind you, in front of you, in all directions. Allow your body to expand, to be formless, to dissolve. Flower girl. So that your body doesn't become the obstacle. So it's really important that at the body level, you expand your body. You allow your body to be transparent. Its true nature is transparency. So don't operate from your regular sense of the body. Operate as if from slightly behind your body and around your body. And from a space, from a vaster space, it's sort of an aware space. Expand your awareness to behind your body and expand it in all directions, as if you're perceiving and experiencing from that location, so that your body becomes less opaque and becomes less of a problem. Anyways, thank you for your questions, Zoe. And yes, I know you
I'm
love
sorry, I accidentally hit the send button. I was gonna write out the lyrics. I love the flower girl you were thinking of.
Okay.
But thank you, and thank you for that. Was a beautiful follow-up question. I was thinking, what would be my follow-up for my question? And Zoe's was so beautiful, and your answer was just beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you very much for your questions, your company, your love, and your contemplation. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Yeah. Okay.
Namaste.
Namaste.